Asociația Parcul Natural Văcărești îți prezintă Natura la ușa ta.
Salut! Podcastul pe care l-ascultați este, de fapt, Dialogul despre Natură și Oraș, care a avut loc în grădina Muzeului de Istorie Naturală Grigore Antipa. Invitatul acestei ediții a fost biologul polonez Maciej Podyma. Pe scurt, omul care a convins autoritățile din mai multe orașe din Polonia să renunțe la gazon în favoarea pajiștilor melifere. De ce și ce argumente a folosit? Ne-a spus chiar el, în cadrul conferinței moderate de Corina Murafa, specialistă în politici de mediu. Audiție plăcută!
Bună ziua tuturor și bine ați venit! Bună seara! Suntem așa la granița dintre zi și seară, așa că îmi permit să vă spun și bună ziua și bună seara. Numele meu este Corina Murafa, voi fi moderatorul discuției de astăzi cu Maciej Podyma. O să trec în limba engleză pentru că organizatorii au prevăzut ca evenimentul să fie în limba engleză, să putem să avem un dialog cât mai viu cu Maciej, ceea ce sper să nu fie o problemă, în sensul în care, da, știu că engleza e destul de răspândită în România. So, Maciej will switch to English. The event was scheduled to be in English. And I know we are running a little bit late, which means that I won't delay the introduction anymore and to give the floor to Maciej. Allow please to introduce myself. My name is Corina Murafa. I have been the co-founder of Ashoka in Romania. Maciej is an Ashoka fellow that I've known for many years, and I'm very happy that he's finally in Romania. I extended this invitation to him years ago, and finally he decided to accept it. And that is great, probably because it came this time not from me, but from another Ashoka fellow, Florin Stoican, who is the co-founder of Văcărești Natural Park, as you know, and also one of the members in the organization for natural urban areas, the network, which is trying to promote also this concept in Romania. So we're going to spend together with Maciej about 45 minutes to an hour in a small interview that I'll do with him. Of course, opening it up for Q&A as well. But what I would like to invite you to do is to also give us maybe 10 to 15 minutes for a small group exercise at the end of this conversation, because it's about each and every one of us. It's not just about hearing about a beautiful Polish experience. Without further ado, Maciej Podyma, whom, of course, I'm mispronouncing his name. He's a biologist by training. His mom was also a biologist, so it runs in the family. Let's say that he's been a serial social entrepreneur in the sense that whenever something disturbed him when it came to biodiversity in Warsaw, he decided to do something about it. So when he realized that in the regional development strategy of Poland, there's no particular reference to biodiversity, he founded an organization to make sure that such attention comes to the table. He also basically coined this super interesting business model, let's call it like that, although it's not a business per se, of replacing expensive and not so beneficial for biodiversity urban greenery like lawns and little planted flowers with wild meadows, thus reducing costs for municipalities, bringing biodiversity back to life. And not only that this model was put in, let's say, one small area of central Warsaw, although it was, and we do invite you to go there. Probably Maciej will talk how that place is called, because I definitely cannot pronounce the name of this place that he founded in the city center, just a couple of minutes walk from the parliament. But also in many other cities and towns in Poland. So it's a scalable solution. I don't know if you scaled it beyond Poland. You're going to tell us a little bit about it, but I'm going to give it to Maciej to explain to us exactly what his social innovation consists of, how he came up with the idea, how was the implementation. So just a small intro statement, and I'll interrupt you whenever I feel that you need to stress some things in the context of a Romanian audience. So yeah, please go ahead.
Sure. I prepared some photos. I don't know if they will be visible. just once again, maybe it will just be some. It will give us some background for my work. Basically, I am called like Mr. Meadow. This is our brand, Mr. Meadow. So basically, we are making meadows, usually in the cities, usually in big cities. It's not working, but. Our job is to replace the turf, to replace the lawns, and recreate them into blooming, vibrant wildflower meadows, basically. And we are doing this on different stages. Like we are working with the citizens on the basic level. We are educating kids and students. We are trying to bring the architecture planners to know. Oh, just one sec. Okay, it's visible. Yeah. Okay. So this is our logo. It's called Wonka. So it's meadow. So it's simple as it can be. And also our work, we are trying to keep it as simple as we can. So if we see a lawn, we want to recreate it into wildflower meadow. But the trip from A to Z is not always so easy. As I said, we were working on different levels. So with the citizens, with the middle management of the parks, municipalities, with the regional government, and then in the last year we started to work with the parliament and senators to recreate the law, especially when it comes to the highways and main roads in the Poland, because our goal is to recreate as much as we can into wildflower meadow, or at least reduce the amount of new lawns, new turf, which is brought to the cities or to the highways. So the simplest way to do it, to multiply it, was to, when someone is building a road, we should change the seeds they are using, not to use the grass, but to use the wildflowers, and then we'll have, I don't know, 150 hectares of new wildflower meadow going straight through the region and making a good biodiverse line between in the whole region. Okay, so basically we are bringing this. This is annual wildflower meadow. It was made in one of our biggest cities, in the Katowice. It was made with the company during the CSR action, ASG. I don't know how you call it right now. The actions with the companies. So we introduced them to recreate some kind of a some place. They of course gave money. They also gave help of their volunteers, and then together we recreated, I don't know, 2,000 or 3,000 square meters. It's not much, but it's visible, and people can walk and can see that, oh, maybe I will put this into my garden, or I will not hesitate when someone will choose this kind of green space into my neighborhood, because it was on the beginning there were like problems with normal citizens. They don't want to introduce wildflowers because they were afraid of bees, afraid of ticks, afraid of I don't know, getting stung by a bee, or going into a poo of a dog, or there will be a trash in wildflower meadows. So those were the crucial things we needed to address, and to explain that it's not maybe as dangerous as it looks. So and we started with the annuals.
Can you please dwell a little bit on how you did this citizen engagement? Because I think in Romania and in Bucharest, it would be rather difficult, or at least we consider it would be rather difficult, because people are used to their English. They expect from the municipal spaces to have that perfect English lawn, and maybe that little rose here and there, equally spaced between each other. So the aesthetics of how green spaces in cities looks like, we've been used to it for decades, and
that's right.
I don't think in Poland it was any different. So how was this citizen engagement done?
It was any difference. It was at the beginning we were just bombarded by the people who were telling that we spent such a time and effort for this lawn. You are just destroying it. You made 10 hectares in the middle of the road, and it was like mowed 10 times a year since forever, and now you destroy it. It was the same. But the tides changed when they've seen it, like when they've seen how it looks. At the beginning, it's like you are astonished by the bloom. Then it's it's dying in the fall, so it's not looking so good. So then you need to explain why it's not looking so good. But we started from the small projects. So basically, we didn't come and said we'll change everything. At least we thought that we will do that, but step by step, just a small steps at the beginning. So we started from 100 meters in each district of Warsaw, and it was going also in the same time when the participatory budget started in Warsaw. It was like that the people could vote for the project, which came from the NGO or the people like themselves. So it was easier to implement it. We just needed the votes. So we put in every single district we could, in every single area of the district, it was almost 44. We put one person, we trained it, and this person put a project under the vote. So, and it was small.
So you took advantage of some type of participatory budgeting that was going on.
It was
at
totally
city
hacking.
level.
It was really, it was because we didn't have the money to make a meadow by ourselves on this scale. We didn't have had grant till today. I don't know, probably you have 5,000 euros of a grant in 8 years. We are not using grants. We are only providing services, and this is what we are making money to do more meadows. So we needed to just use the system against it. Like it was kind of funny when there was an announcement of which projects won, and there was a meadow in this, meadow in this, meadow in that. Yeah, so it was kind of funny, but on the end, 60,000 people or even 70,000 people voted. So we had a support. There was a rush about it, and then there was a big...
And what was the argument that you used or that your people used for this project? That it's better for nature, that it's nicer, that it costs less money?
Yeah.
What do you think was convincing the
All of
people to
those.
vote for that and not for something else?
All of
or
that.
even the politicians, because I think that's another crucial question. How do you work with politicians, or how did you work with politicians to get this going?
Okay, so during the years, I have a lot of facts, a lot of data which I am using, but on the end, it comes to the heart. Like really, like if you are going to some mayor or people in charge, on the end, money is not irrelevant. Biodiversity is also relevant. It comes by the heart. The people want it, and your neighbor have it. You want to have it also. So it went like a wave. Maybe on the beginning there was it's opening the doors when you say that it will cost you in upcoming years, it will reduce your cost by 50%. This is something which is helping.
Is this the real figure, or how
it's like that when we started in Krakow, they estimated that they used to mow it 6 times a year, the area which we made. And when we made the meadows, they need to mow it only twice a year. So it was 3 times less, but the mowing is kind of different. So estimation is around 50% profit, like less money, like a cost effective. So so basically that was the issue, and this is like the opening statement. Like, we'll reduce your budget, like. You'll at least for this upcoming financial crisis moment, probably this will be on the first page, but it was not 4 or 3 years ago. It was more than about pollinators, because there was a wave of information about pollinators decline, and also about the feelings that people want aesthetics. People want flowers, and this is also you need to consider when you are combining or choosing the mix. You cannot start with a full package of perennial and native flowers, because it will produce some tension within the people. Sometimes you need to use annuals to just show in the first year that it's working, because people don't want to wait. Because perennial, I'll show you what the difference is. This is a perennial meadow, basically representation. So one species is dominant, the yellow one, and it will come after you will mow it in 1 year in the June, and then on the end of the autumn it will replicate in each year. So it's cost effective, but you need to wait at least 2 or 3 years to have result like that. So we are also presenting annual meadows, or even annual meadows with non-native species, but this is only for professionals, because you need to be aware that some of the species can be dangerous, can be invasive. If you choose poorly, you need to make a good choice. So those are the ambassadors. They are like opening eyes for the citizens, because citizens only have, 5 minutes to, or 5 seconds to know if they like it or not. Yeah, they are crossing by, they think, oh, maybe I will shoot a photo, I like it, I will post it on the Instagram, make some TikTok or something like that. And then after that, there are bigger changes coming. So like perennials, big areas, or even areas when the change goes through when you are not making meadow from scratch, but just by reducing the amount of mowing. So this is also the way we go. So we have a full package for the municipalities.
And how are the discussions with municipalities? Because essentially, you were a startup, maybe not such a trusted provider of green space seeds and organization and so on. So how did you gain their trust? How did they see the benefits? You said that you were winning their hearts, but that sounds very abstract, right? I mean, I cannot imagine winning the heart of a local politician. So how was the conversation going? And how did they end up choosing your option over different other ones?
I'm saying that they will win their elections if they will make it. And really it's like that every mayor we worked with, he won the election because it's like that we come to him, we bring the flowers, he's flowers, so this is for but we make it, he's showing the cost, or he and then like 50% of mayors use the small packages of seeds to give it on the public events. They show up on the events. I don't have any politician right here, but this is how our events looks like. Like we show what the meadow does, so they know that it's like foolproof, and we know that we have scientific data, at least at the end. And then we go with and show how the flowers looks like, what you can use them, how you can use them. And also in Poland, we have a really big heart for the wildflowers. We don't know that, but in our culture, graphic design, songs, writings, medical things, we by heart we know a lot of those. So this is also a reference we use.
How did you make sure that these spaces were not destroyed by passers-by, by other citizens, by ill-doers, because maybe at least when the whole thing was growing, they could have easily said, this is abandoned, I'm just going to park my car on it, or,
we have had some of those, like parking a car. This is... I can see this is a problem in Bucharest. They are parking everywhere. This is a madness. It was in Warsaw also, but it's trying to be civilized. It's a problem. But basically, you need to put something to cover it from the cars. On the beginning, the people are afraid that they will stuck in the mud in the prepared land. But after that, after some time, the flowers will grow, and then they are more capable to go on the meadow. So you need to put some kind of fence. It depends on the area, basically. But this is also argument when we are saying that you need to go as big as you can, because small ones will be destroyed easily, and the big ones will have some buffer, and you can see where the people are walking. And we are not telling that they should put some kind of a fence on the walking paths. They just need to be implemented into the meadow.
I noticed there are a couple of scientists as well in the audience. I know for sure biologists and so on. So tell us a little bit about these benefits, the science behind it. So, what concrete benefits do we get from having that?
Yeah.
And then also maybe what are some technical barriers, if there are any, and how did you overcome them in terms of, I'm an amateur gardener myself, and sometimes the seeds that I plant just don't come out, So did you also have this technical issues? Maybe there was not enough rain. Maybe there was some climate issues that made your life a lot harder.
Yeah. Okay. So I will start from the end. So if you want to ensure that your wildflower meadow will be a success, the best season to put it in the ground to sow it is autumn, when there is a lot of rain. Usually the perennials are starting to at least to sprout in the autumn. They will grow out in the upcoming season, and they will bloom in if we have 2022, they will grow in 2023, and they will bloom after in 2024. This is something you need to consider, and you need to wait for them. But autumn, this is the perfect time to sow perennials, and when we are speaking about benefits, we usually reference to the perennials. So established after 2 years perennial meadows, and we can tell that you don't need to waterize them, for sure, because this is unnecessary, because they have a really strong root system. Here we are using this kind of a how do you call it, picture or reference. On the left side, my left side, you have a grass and its root. So it's approximately 20-30 meters. It's Festuca rubra. 20-30 centimeters of root system, and here you have Cichoria intybus or Daucus carota, wild carrot, and it's almost 150. Then we'll go almost to 3 meters, so it can take the water which fall 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, even month ago. And this is my favorite. This is what is the name in English? Tansy, Taraxacum officinalis. So the yellow flower for sure, dandelion. Oh yeah, dandelion. Okay, so now why you cannot eradicate it from your lawn, because it having a almost 3 meters long root system, and the upper part is only 20-30 centimeters. So he's he's one of the Avengers. Yeah, so he can survive. If you will just scrap it from the surface, it will regrow. And this is something which is interesting for in the climate change topic. So this is where the carbon goes. It not goes to the green part of the wildflowers. It goes underneath into the roots. They are regrowing underground, and this is where the carbon should be stored, and this is also the matter of our research.
Did you make, speaking of research, that's exactly what I wanted to ask you, did you make any measurements around benefits for biodiversity or carbon sequestration? And did you work with universities? Did you do it in-house? What are some of the mechanisms that you
all
used?
Of that. Basically at the beginning, what we found when we are thinking about some topic, for instance, about water, how the rainfall is soaking into wildflower meadow compares to turf. We basically run through the bibliography, through the papers they are already written. If we don't find something, or we just found some trace, we are trying to reach out to the scientists which are collecting data. It's surprisingly not so well research this topic. Forests, shrubs, even turf. This is something which is well researched, but wildflowers are put aside because they will not something in fashion, very fashionable. But basically, we know that how much of the carbon they store in the roots. We know how much of the PM dust can be absorbed on the leaves. This is the research we've made from scratch because there was no data. And about the pollinators, this is something we are doing with the universities. But basically, our role is to show them where they should make their research. So we are not going with them and not making any collections because we don't want to also interfere because we always tell that show as much as you can. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the legislative change process and the advocacy that you made, because NGOs in Romania, obviously that they would like to do more advocacy, but it's difficult. They are not successful. They don't have the resources to do that because they need to do the core work that they're doing. So how did it work in your case? You're a biologist and you turned into an lobbyist or something in parliament to change law. So how did that happen?
Bad word, lobbying. Yeah, we like to use it advocacy, but basically it also comes to the political interest. Like if when we are having a campaign, it's easier to like get someone involved because they can use this topic as bullets to fight with the government. But we didn't want that. Like we didn't want to use it as a weapon. So when we first spoke with the lady who was in charge of the parliament group, we told her that she needs to invite. When we will work under wildflower law, we need to try unite as much party as we can, and we succeed. It was like that when we put under the vote the first paper, it was the first paper which brought almost every group. So it was like, oh, flowers, okay, I will sign that. It was like, because we were asking about why the highways are cut so frequently. So many times, why the highways are cut so low and for so many times in the year.
The highways?
Highways, yeah. So we were asking about the government, like the parliament guys can state a question to the lower offices.
Yes,
like explain me
same.
How.
O interpelare.
Interpella. Okay,
yes.
So this interpellation brought every group in the parliament. Like we want to know, like why we are wasting money.
So the members of parliament started to ask the government, why are you cutting grass so often? Why are you spending the taxpayer budget for it?
And we are with the answer. We were like surprised, like totally, like it was completely. Get from the sky, like they said that they are mowing it because they are afraid that there will be some endangered species close to the road, or they will grow some invasive species. Like those, like really, like we know that this whole industry of mowers, this is a like mob style. Really, it's something we would like to interfere, but sometimes we are afraid. Like this is tons of money. Approximately 2 billion zlotys are spent on highways in Poland. So it's 2,050 or 300,000 euros per year, €1 million per year on mowing. So this is a huge amount.
So you upset some people with your intervention?
Yeah, we're upset, but some of them just came to us and told us that they want to work with us. But it's very shady, so we don't want to do it. Like this is something like we know that this change will come, so we want to work with you. This is we had some meetings like that.
So did you enact already the legislative change that basically the space, the green space, or are you in the process of doing it?
There's no need to change.
Okay.
There is no law, which is like it's crazy because everybody thought, even the municipalities, even the management of the highways, they thought that they need to do this. But there is no law. Okay? This was like basically this interpreter showed us that there is not a legislative, that there is not a single sentence that will say that this should be done like that. This is only because in the 90s they've done it, and they've are doing it, repeating year after year. So that's why we came to the big companies which were building a new road, and we introduced them. We tried to convince them to show for the whole public how to recreate. And when they've made a new road, we just came with our seeds and saw, I believe it was 80 hectares close to the road. After 1 month, it was covered with green, and then there were perennials in upcoming years. So it was kind of a success, and it showed that we can do it in the large scale. And really, it's basically about the seeds. Yeah. So, and now we are facing like the fact that we cannot produce as much seeds as we can. So this is also like the gene bank, and where the seeds should come from. Should there be from the place you are sowing them, as the Germans do and Austrians? This is another big topic, but the first step is done. People want change, and even the change is hurting us, because people are upset when we are mowing our meadows. So they are telling like, do not mow it. Like you said that the mower is not needed. Like and I'm always telling that wildflower meadows should be mowed less. Not they need to be cut at least twice a year.
At some point, yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your experience as an Ashoka Fellow and the international exposure that you got. Did you encounter similar models in other countries? Did you try to spread your model in other countries? Did you, because it sounds, probably, there's in English the saying, too good to be true, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's good for the biodiversity, it saves money, people like it. So why isn't it happening at scale? Like, why do you think that's the case?
Like abroad, I was never thinking about scaling up abroad. We are sharing knowledge, and we know that our model is also very difficult because we combined everything in one organization. We were having so lack of everything when we began. There was no seeds, there was no shops which were selling seeds, there were no seeds providers, there were no services. When we started, we made the first meadow by ourselves, and we seen it after 3 months that it's working. So it was hard on the beginning to even believe in this concept. So we didn't we didn't prepare it to be scaled up. I like to start new things, and I like to go, like, for instance, 2 years ago we thought about the advocacy and going to the parliament, so we've done it. So I don't know if I am the biggest, I'm the best guy to implement something abroad. Like we can share the knowledge, but we don't have this ambition.
That's also a version of scaling. You are spreading the know-how. Give us some tangible figures about what you're doing. How many people work in your organization? How many hectares do you have covered at the moment? For how long have you been doing it?
Okay, so we started in 2014. We started with 1 hectare. In first year, then was 2 hectares in 2016, and now we covered almost 10,000 hectares in the cities and also in the highway, but still it's like a 10th of percent of loans in Poland. We have 11 persons in the team. So now it's quite big. I'm kind of surprised that we have a lot of people, and we are working almost. I was figuring out this in the last month. It was around 30 cities already. So cities and also towns. It's almost 40 spots, like on the map, and also in this. In the spots we have also smaller spots. So around 2,000 examples, 2,000 meadows. Some of them are 10 meters, some of them are hectares. So basically those are the numbers.
Before I open into questions, my last question is what's next for you? Because you said you like starting new things. You're a social entrepreneur, and I know how social entrepreneurs are. They always have big dreams, which they tend to follow as well. So what's next for you?
Okay, so our next step is to go back to the basics and focus on the seeds, because we've made everything, but we forgot about producing the seeds and to be sure that they are good quality, that we have enough, because this is something which is like fundamental. Like seeds are the beginning of every meadow, so you need to have a lot of those in good quality, and this is something we forgot. And usually abroad, as in Germany, they started from as a seed companies and they developed into advocacies, or they made a society of producers, and then they made some advocacy. So our journey was completely from different side.
Thank you, Maciej. Questions. I think the Polish case is interesting, but tricky as well. So questions. What questions would you have for Maciej? Comments, things that have stirred up your curiosity on his path as a social entrepreneur, on the model? There's a question over there, and thank you for breaking the ice, because I do hope that there are more questions. I see a journalist in the audience as well who surely has questions. Otherwise, she wouldn't be a journalist. So waiting for that as well. But Anna, please.
I have a very human question called the mosquito. So let's say you convince the people on basics of cost and beauty. They do the Instagrammable pictures. But how do you manage the fact that, at least in Romania, we do use insecticides to kill kind of everything? So that would be a little bit counterproductive to biodiversity. You know, we want it pretty, a different kind of pretty, but then we put insecticide on top because we don't like to be bitten by mosquitoes.
Yes, for sure. If you will use insecticide on the wildflower meadow where the butterflies and the bees are, they will die. But usually when it comes to mosquitoes, we have a question if it will attract mosquitoes, if they will live in this area. It's not true. Because the runoff water will soak up very easily. There will be no water on top, so it's not very attractive to mosquitoes. But you know, like with the insecticides, it's a hard topic. I don't know how to answer that. You should not use it. So basically, and it's not good also for your health and also for the kids. This is something which we used to do in Warsaw, but right now we have a law which is you cannot use pesticides, insecticides, and even you cannot use leaf blowers in the cities because you are bringing the dust up. So we have a lot of laws. Everything changed, but
I think in Romania terrible. We are in a moment when we still want everything. We want parking spots, we want public transport, we want bicycle lanes, we want metro, we want electric cars and so on. And
wildflower meadow without pollinators and mosquitoes.
Without being bitten by bees, exactly. So the answer, Anna, I think, is that you can't have it all. Let's put it like that.
Or at least make spray it on the sides. So.
Other questions or comments or curiosities for the model, please.
This is more of I don't know if you even have an answer to this question, but the Netherlands have fields upon fields of tulips, but
it's horrifying.
Yeah, but I don't think from amongst the plants that you use in the meadows you've used tulips, right?
Sometimes we use bulbs, not especially tulips, but we use garlics, kind of garlics, or maybe sometimes the tulips because they sprout very early. So when we have a wildflower meadow and we'll put some bulbs underneath it, it will like bloom in the early March or even in the April. So and then another white flower comes. So it's useful. But tulip fields in Netherlands, this is something like horribly terrifying when someone is posting the picture that this is so beautiful. I'm always saying that how much of the pesticides and every they use so much chemicals and so much water. This is what's wrong with the world and with the production. Like tulip production, this is something bad.
Your question brought another question on my side, which is the European level discussion. We now have strategies for biodiversity at European level. We're supposed to protect biodiversity as well within cities. So Brussels is somehow giving member states directions in this area. And yet, as you say, the Netherlands is going in a different direction. I think in Romania we're also quite reluctant to step into this boat. So do you see models like yours rather on the growing side at European level? Are these European strategies helping you in your work, or they don't really matter?
Like those 21 steps, I believe, like those, they are useful because they are opening the discussion, but for sure they will not do the job. It's not like that you will come and I will like, the law is like that, you need to work with us. It's not working like that. So it's useful. And as much of the people knows about the problem with the pollinators or with the climate change, it's useful and it helps to at least not to start from the point zero. Just you can skip to the point where we are finding solutions, not talking about problem, because people are educated. The Netflix films and other stuff is always like useful that you can put some reference into pop culture, and really the awareness is completely different than 10 years ago. Like really, for me it's amazing.
I come from from another debate now around climate, and I think the conclusion there was the same, that we are all very aware of the gravity of the situation. It's increasing. Surveys are coming out every day about ordinary people's interest in the topic and desire to act and so on. But there still seems to be a gap between that and actually doing the work. Yeah. So that's why I loved your answer on saying, okay, laws are nice, but somebody has to do the work.
Yeah, but this is something when I'm always when I'm on some environmental summit, they are talking about that we'll die and everything is wrong and law is wrong, and I hate that. Like I hate this pessimistic tone.
What makes you an optimist, though?
Like what was I know that someday we're gonna die as whole civilization, but we can do something by ourselves. I really believe it that small steps, even those beloved shows in they can do some difference, and I really like to have action after every workshop, after every meeting. I would love every time when I'm working with some parliament workers or with the kids or students, at the end we are trying to sow at least 1 or 2 square meters or the pots, show the seeds, show the flowers. This is where the change goes. Like from the perspective of heart, I think. Like if you will not love the white flowers, you will not want to have them in your neighborhood.
There's a question in the back, please.
Hi. First, thanks for coming and for sharing everything with us. I have actually 2 questions. One is about the seeds. I came a bit later, so I don't know if you talked about it. I was curious, how did you collect the seeds? How did you calculate the mix of seeds and plants? Mm-hmm. And the second is more about landscape design and what type of spaces did you choose? Yeah, cute.
Breakout. Okay, so first one is about the seeds. Okay,
yeah,
so
I didn't finish the second one. What type of spaces did you choose inside the cities to start these pilot projects of lawns for pollinators and?
Okay, so how we chose the spaces? It basically was Like, we went down for a walk, and it was only 100 square meters at the beginning, so it was easy to find those places. But it needed to be sunny place without slope, without trees, of course, because it's sunny, and easy manageable. Like, it will be no waste, like there will be no pipelines going underneath or something like that. Basically, it was kind of a simple to put so small space. It's more difficult when you are making hectares. Like, you need to be assured that it will not cover the visibility on the road, or it will not be under some investment, because it would be a waste of money. There are a few things that you need to remember, but basically, whenever there is a loan, you can make wildflower meadow. Exception is underneath the tree in the full shade. This is something which is very difficult. You can use plugs or turf, which you can roll out with the wildflowers, but shade is kind of difficult. This is different type of topic. And the seeds, at the beginning, we were collecting from the nature. Still, we are doing that. If we want to have some kind of a species which is protected, we need to ask the government agencies if we can do that. We are collecting those. We are reproducing them in our site. So we are just making basically small monocultures of one species. And we need to remember that some species are pollinating each other, like for instance the verbascum type, so they can differ in genetic types. And then we store them, dry them, clean them, and then we store them. So those are like, they sounds of a really quick and easy steps, but they are kind of difficult. Each species is different, and even they can differ between years. So the size of the seeds or the diseases or whatever, like the moon can affect those. This is like, for me, this is hardest part, like to know and be sure that we will have enough seeds for the upcoming years. So, but on the end, when we have some seeds on the shelf, then we go. Then we are creating mixes, and this is my favorite part. I love it. So we are seeing the place, and so we are checking the soil, what kind of type of the soil it is. Is it clay, sandy? And then we are choosing the right mix. And first rule is they need to survive, obviously. So we are choosing the plants that can survive in that place. Then we go to the other like other abilities, like making an anti-smog meadow, or something which will have specific colors, like for the colors of the municipality. We can do that. And of course they should bloom in the upcoming periods. So starting from April, there will be 1, 2, 3 species. Then in the June and May, third one, fourth one, and so on. And then they should be cut. So it's kind of a tricky thing to do. But we have a tables with almost 280 species we are using, and we know when they should bloom, because it also differs on the condition and even the level where the city is.
There was another question over there.
Hello, and thank you for being here. I'm curious if at some point the model you built started working both ways. I mean, are authorities also coming to you to collaborate at some point, and if there was a certain moment when they began trusting you and.
Mm-hmm. Today I was telling this story, but at the beginning it was like that with the Krakow municipality. That Krakow is second, I think, biggest city in Warsaw, and it was, and it still is, very polluted. So they started to like unite all the greenery, like district green administration into one. So they wanted to like make it one big greenery office. So they needed a big project. So it was a perfect time to step up. So we met them on some fair, and we told them, you want to like have a big project with everybody will see, and it will not cost you a tons of money. Like we have it, you can do it. And it was like that we stepped from 100 square meters into 10 hectares. So it was like just a luck. But really, it comes to that you need to be on some kind of events. You need to show what you are doing, and then probably someone will come. And after that, when we've made this big project, it was easier to come and to show what we are capable of. But on the second hand, also our companies or NGOs which are making like they appeared like some companies and NGOs which were doing the same, and they were not doing so good job as we, and they like burned some bridges in some cities, so we needed to rebuild them, and it's even harder to start. It's easier to start from the scratch than to like tell somebody who already burned on the wildflower meadows that he needs to try it again, even for free or something like that.
Thank you, Maciej. Is there any more? Because otherwise, I would invite you. Okay, there's one more, and
one there.
And one here.
So three.
There's three. All right.
Okay, I'll start then. Hi. Two questions. One, do you have experience with, let's say, self-seeded meadows or no-seeded meadows where you just manage the way you mow? And second, what do you do with the leftovers when you mow the meadows?
Okay, so yes, we have this experience, and we estimate that in every city you can at least. It depends how many time do you have, how much time do you have to like change it into something looking like this one from picture, and usually we know that approximately 20-30% of urban greenery, like lawns or turf, can be in upcoming 5 or 6 years can be changed into something looking like that just by using just by properly using a mower. So we have experience in that, and in Białystok, which is, I don't know, 4th the biggest city in Poland. Up front we have annuals. On the second barrier we have perennials, and on the end we have almost 100 hectares which is mowed in the proper way. And we know that not every single part of this less mowed area will be looking like that, but at least we know that in upcoming years it will change just by using mower in the good way. You can also use herds of sheep or cows. This is something which we are coming into in upcoming year. We want to provide some kind of a service with the sheep to the warehouses managers, because this is like, the fence is already outside the warehouse, and there are a lot of green areas, so maybe the herd will be an answer for inflation and crisis. And the second question?
The leftovers. What we are doing with the leftovers?
Okay, the leftovers usually they're in the major cities. We are. There are two ways. We are going with them to the zoo, and they are using it for the animals, not for eating, but for covering the floor, or we are composting it. And it also depends from where it comes. So from the parks, of course, you can take it to the zoos, but usually from the roads we are too afraid to do that, and we are composting it. And right now we don't have this kind of a problem, because everybody is trying to heat up to prepare for the winter, and they are making the pellet from the hay. So even they are buying from us to prepare and to pellet it and to use it as a fuel.
Super circular system. There was one other question there, please.
Yeah, I was wondering because you have started the project from a participatory budget project, so you got the support of the citizens. Then the authorities didn't have any other choice than to implement the project. So apparently there were no challenges in this line, but I'm sure there were. So I was wondering what were the main challenges in convincing other cities, so starting from Krakow, other cities of Poland, to replace the lawn with flower meadows. What were the main challenges for you?
But with the participatory budget or after that? Like,
I think after that.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So usually the main issue was the time. So when someone is making like a project for a first time, like Krakow is going on, usually other municipalities would wait at least 2-3 years to see what's going on, like if it will be a good idea or not. So we didn't have had such a long time, so we needed to work with that and to assure them that that it's working. So we brought them for a trip to Krakow and to show them on the side that go into it and tell me that you don't want it. Yes? And they always say, well, maybe it's a good idea. So really you just need to show, like if you don't have a meadow in the wildflower meadow, or at least natural meadow outside on the outskirts of the city, you just need to take the people and some conference and show them, because it starts with that. It's unbelievably beautiful, and really, for me, every time when I'm sewing and I'm going back in 2 or 3 months, this is something like super spectacular for me. I am always surprised how it looks, and even if I have something like I've made a couple of those. So reassuring. So this was the first problem. So they want to be sure that this is a good idea, and we didn't have had the time, so we need to take some shortcut. Money, of course, everybody is telling that this is too expensive, and maybe it will save us some money on the end, but this is not what we are looking for, because we need to put some money up front. Yeah, and those are the biggest problems, I think. Yeah.
There was one other question over there, and then I will invite you for a small participatory exercise, because we were talking about participation. Please.
I'm the last. I want to ask you about the flower pollen allergies, because this is the most widespread in the world, and in Romania also. And I think there are more than 100 flowers which generate this. So, do you have a system where you monitor what other plants grow in the mold, so people who walk there doesn't get involved?
Yeah, sure. Like the most common allergies in Poland, there are the allergies for grasses, usually. For grasses and for the tall trees like Betula, Pendula, or other trees which are producing the pollen, which is transported by the air, like light pollen. This is not the issue with most of the wildflowers we are using. Like it's like that to transport the pollen from our flowers, you need to have pollinator or butterfly or bee. So the pollen is kind of big, and it's not welded by the wind. It will not blow to your nose, and it will not be allergic to you. But there are some wildflowers which are producing like soft and light pollen. Those are like ambrosia, yes, and some artemisia kind, like Artemisia absinthium, or those one do not go into our mixes which we are using in the cities. So basically, we are telling you that you will not have grasses, at least at some point, and we are trying to cut off all the species which are creating this kind of pollen which will harm you. This is a hard topic, because at some time the grasses will come into wildflower meadows, at least even if you don't sow them, and they will be tall. But then it's also the studies said that the worst thing you can do is to mow and then grass is reproducing their organs and they're creating pollen, then you mow, and then it's starting to reproduce even more pollen. So this is something which is you should consider when you are like trying to convince people that the shortcut loan is better for the allergies. But this is brighter topic. We don't use species which are bad for people with allergies. Basically, we know. I also have an allergy for grasses, so I don't want to have them in my neighborhood. So.
Thank you everyone for participating and for coming in such a large number to an event that's rather specialized. It goes to show that our city and its nature is still loved by its citizens, which I think is something that we need to rejoice and to try to bring as much as we can from this inspiration to actual facts and practice. So, you know, some of the ideas that you brainstormed, looking forward to seeing them enacted. And thank you, Maciej, for coming to Romania and for sharing all of these things with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
And thank you as well to the organizers. There are over 10, 12 NGOs that are part of the organizing team for this project. So it's rather difficult for me to name all of them, but it's for sure this beautiful project, Rețeaua Naturală de Arii Urbane, which I do wholeheartedly invite you to support and to watch to promote this idea. Thank you very much and have a wonderful rest of the evening. And yeah, let's make the city full of wild meadows.
Proiect derulat de Asociația Parcul Natural Văcărești în parteneriat cu Funky Citizens, Asociația Societate Organizată Sustenabil, Eche Satu Mare, Centrul de Ecologie Montană, Excelsior Arad, Ecotop Oradea, Asociația Walden, Asociația Biotim, Societatea Ornitologică Română Filiala Iași și Asociația Ruralis, cu sprijinul financiar al Active Citizens Fund România. Program finanțat de Islanda, Liechtenstein și Norvegia prin granturile SEE 2014-2021. Conținutul acestui material nu reprezintă în mod necesar poziția oficială a granturilor SEE și norvegiene. Lucrăm împreună pentru o Europă verde, competitivă și inclusivă.